Hey, everybody, this is Amazing Fantasy Football. I am Josh, and over there is the... Damn, I forgot my comparison again.
I'm just reminding you before we start.
The Tom Brady to my Tom Brady Jr.
Yeah, you might.
Sorry, that was an off-mic conversation. That went absolutely nowhere. You had to be there to. You had to be there to know to know what the hell I'm referring to.
Exactly.
Anyways,
how are you this lovely evening, sir?
Well, a little perturbed that I didn't get to ask you first, but other than that, doing pretty darn good. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm pretty good. Again, a little off-camera discussion we already had. I was a little trepidatious about launching OBS because I had some difficulty. I'd recently upgraded and then downgraded to get things rolling again. So excited that we are live. Everything's running well.
I'm sorry, I fell asleep there for a second. What the hell did you just say?
It's not important, Josh. We'll just...
Okay, cool. So we are Amazing Fantasy Football. We are here to talk about some Week 8 stuff right here. But as soon as Chris can actually put the booze down, he's going to tell us about some news.
Actually, it tastes kind of good. I don't know.
Disgusting. Anyways.
All right. So the news, we will open with...
I'm hoping we're opening with the news because that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I wanted to go a little out of order.
There's no order. It's the news.
Fine. It's fine. I'll go by position. That's how I posted it. Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson pronounced himself ready to roll. I figured he would have said ready to ride, but hey, that's just me.
When you said pronounce himself, I was like, did he pronounce himself dead? I'm dead.
On the field, in a manner of speaking. No. So he says,
fantasy-wise,
I don't know if he's his coach says the same, but that's what he said. I'm going to trust him. I believe he's got the Jacksonville in Wembley Stadium, so he's got the
London Jaguars.
That's right. Yeah. I like that they've opened it up to numerous teams in the past couple years. It's not just Jacksonville anymore. Jacksonville's a little better too than they were for a decade before.
Keep going.
Stick with quarterbacks. Mac Jones will start Week 8 against the Jets for the Patriots. Jameson Williams is healthy, but Andy Dalton is the starter regardless. I don't have any more conjecture on that at this time, or at least any quotes, but that's what it said. Oh, geez. On to some running backs. We already talked about Breece Hall injury like on Sunday or last Thursday, right? Okay, well, Breece Hall blew out his ACL, and he is on injured reserve and out for the rest of the year. In related news, the Jets are making already made the big trade, acquiring James Robinson from the aforementioned Jaguars. It's a conditional draft pick is all I've got on the compensation there. In more related news there, Jets to use a, quote, hot hand approach at running back. Speaking of muddled running back...
That sucks for Michael Carter managers.
It does. Speaking of muddled running back situations, Chuba Hubbard, with an ankle injury, was absent again on Thursday practice for the Panthers. We definitely mentioned the CMC trade right last week.
No.
News comes in... We did it?
Yes, we did.
Okay, thank you. The news comes in so fast, sometimes I lose track, y'all. My apologies. Speaking of track. Cat.
Keep going.
Omar's here. What's up, dude? And Jose. Nice, guys. Thanks for showing up. Where were we? That was Chuba. For the second straight day, no practice for Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott due to his knee injury. On to receivers. Raiders wide receiver Devontae Adams missed practice for a second straight day while battling what sources describe as a bad flu. There's optimism. He'll be over it and ready to go Sunday versus the Saints. More bad news. Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase is dealing with a hip injury. I don't like hip injuries, man. That's not cool. That is expected to sideline him 4 to 6 weeks and makes him a prime candidate for injured reserve, per sources. A little bit more here. He visited a hip specialist Wednesday and is seeking more answers about his injury. More bad news about wide receivers in the 4-week range. Chargers are expecting Mike Williams to miss a minimum of 4 weeks. Minimum. Oof. I would assume a pretty good candidate for IR also. Lazard says he doesn't expect to play versus Buffalo.
And what is Mike Williams' injury?
I don't have that. My apologies.
High ankle sprain.
Thank you. Or do I have Lazard's? I think Lazard is a shoulder. Lazard is a shoulder. Alan Lazard said he doesn't expect to play versus Buffalo. He did not practice today, Thursday. Debo has missed 2 practices in a row on Wednesday and Thursday with a hamstring injury. Hope that's veteran stuff, but Thursday worries me. More wide receiver news. Breaking news. The Giants are trading wide receiver Kadarius Toney to the Chiefs for a conditional 3rd and a 6th rounder to the Giants.
Pretty good.
You want to stop and talk about that?
Pretty good value. About what?
Kadarius going to Chiefs?
You want to rap about Kadarius Toney going to the Chiefs, huh? As the kids like to say.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Kadarius Toney is kind of like middle class. I was going to say like a middle class Tyreek Hill potentially. Maybe a step above Mecole Hardman.
Type of player, play style.
Just because, and I say maybe a step above Mecole Hardman because Hardman's been in the league for what 3 or 4 years now and has really not panned out. And Tony's been in, this is what, his 2nd year, and he's just struggled with staying healthy. And so if he ever got healthy, there's potential there, you know, like I'm sorry, the fact that we haven't seen really Sky Moore at all, more or less, like I'm not calling Sky Moore a bust, don't get me wrong, but
it's looking bleak.
I think Sky Moore, we're halfway through his rookie season. Come on,
you've got other rookie wide receivers. I don't say blowing up, but
that are making more of an impact.
At least this year and previous couple of years, yes, you've had rookie wide receivers blowing up, a la Jamar Chase.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that he's a bust.
Yeah, I think it's a condemnation of Mecole Hardman. I think it's a not this year for Sky Moore. And I think a little bit of Tony's injury stuff has been just him sandbagging. He didn't want to play for him. I think there's a lot of attitude and stuff going on there, so they were just like, see ya. Plus, the Giants aren't winning. Or, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. The Giants are winning without a wide receiver of any note. We might talk about some Giants wide receivers later, though.
Oh, God. Okay.
I
bet I can guess which one.
Yeah, I bet so. The only one. Saints, Michael Thomas, and Landry, Jarvis Landry did not practice on Wednesday. I don't have a Thursday update on them. My apologies. On a couple of tight ends, or actually one tight end, and then a quick defensive update. Njoku with an ankle on suiting up week 8. He said, "We'll see." ...
Didn't they put him on IR?
Njoku?
Yeah.
Please vet that for me. I'm not sure. Last little tidbit.
I could easily be wrong. I don't know.
There's a bit of a defensive blockbuster trade. The Bears are trading star pass rusher Robert Quinn to the Eagles. The general consensus on that is the great get greater. Yeah. So not happy about that as a Cowboys fan.
Oh, okay.
What is up, Jake?
But he suffered a high ankle sprain, so I somehow doubt he's playing on Monday.
Yeah, there's no way he's playing. I did have ankle. I did not have a high ankle. My apologies.
That's according to NBC Sports. Yeah, that's what they say.
That's all.
What do I know?
For the news.
What about Deebo Samuel?
I mentioned him. Oh, did I actually skip him? He's right here. Deebo hamstring was not spotted. Yeah, I mentioned it. Not spotted at practice Thursday or Wednesday.
What about all of my other players that are injured in my Dynasty League? What's up with them?
Hopefully.
Let's start at the top here. James Conner, Devontae Adams, Noah Brown, Josh Palmer.
What about Connor? Is he ready yet?
It sounds like he actually might play this week.
Yeah, it does kind of. I should have had that in the news. So that I chose not to start Eno. You know, whatever. I grabbed him off waivers a couple weeks ago and missed out on his 20-some odd points.
And breaking news: it looks like Mark Andrews might be done for this game. He may be injured his shoulder.
I cannot catch a freaking break.
Yeah. Why don't you take all the players that you have that are on my undefeated dynasty team and get rid of them from all your other fantasy teams? Because apparently you're like the touch of death.
Maybe it's not just me. I don't have ETN anywhere. I don't have okay.
Exactly. That's why he's thriving.
All Andrews. Anyway. That's all the news, sir.
Okay. Why don't you go first?
I'll do that.
Actually, I'm going to go first because I have 6.
Okay. Oh, my.
Oh my.
I think I have a couple slashes, but no honorable mentions. Continue, please.
Okay, I'm going to start with the one. I'm just going to get it out of this way because you kind of covered it in the news. So I picked Chuba Hubbard versus Atlanta. It sounds like maybe he won't play, but I'm just going to go ahead with it, and then I'll kind of do a little
You want to
what's that? Improv at the end. Improv at the end with him. In the first week without Christian McCaffrey, Chuba Hubbard and Deonta Foreman. Usage was kind of 50-50. Chuba pulled up late in the fourth quarter due to an ankle injury, but according to everything that I read, they said that he could have went back in the game had it been closer. Remember,
I heard that.
Panthers were apparently the Panthers were somehow beating the pants off the Buccaneers. Anyways, with PJ Walker at quarterback too, no Christian McCaffrey. What? Anyways,
speaking of pants off, I'm just kidding.
Oh no!
Oh, I did switch.
Oh no! Atlanta's just an average run D. Seriously, the usage between Hubbard and Foreman was pretty almost exactly split. 46 to 54 snap percentage. 9 rushing attempts for Hubbard versus 15 for Deonta. 3 targets for Hubbard versus Deonta's 2. And they were almost exactly. They were 14.3 versus 15.5 for Deonta Foreman. I mean, I just like Hubbard a little bit better in this running back battle. He's younger, speedier, and I can make old Mother Hubbard jokes. Like, let me see if I can remember the nursery rhyme.
What's not to love?
There once was a man from Nantucket.
And should stop there.
Oh, okay. That's not the right one?
I believe that is a limerick.
I believe you're correct. So I'll just stop that limerick because it's not a nursery rhyme. So if Chuba is unable to play this week, man, Deonta Foreman has to be a smash start because the only person
there,
like,
yeah.
I don't even know who's behind those two, and I kind of don't want to know. I
don't think we need to know. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So I mean, I've been advising people this week to pick up Chuba. I like him because Foreman was actually the hotter pickup because
he did
that little
fantasy points. That is
1.2 fantasy points more. It's not like he blew him out of the water.
They both played well.
The
quarterback and DJ Moore for that matter. But we discussed this off air a few days ago. I'm a little more on the Deonta Foreman side of things.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I would trust a younger, like I said, speedier, kind of more CMC-esque versus a long-time veteran who has a history injury history that includes tearing an Achilles. So who was never that fast or that elusive to begin with. He's the power back to this in this equation.
Absolutely power back.
Sure.
But I would say the Achilles has been like 2-3 years ago now. Like any repercussions from that.
Oh boy, it might be like 4. It might be more like 4 or 5 years ago at this point.
And before that, I don't know about now. I'm not going to speak on that, but he had great feet for a big man. Great fast time. Just like, I love the way he moved his feet. Foreman. Love the way he moved his feet at Texas and early on at
he was
Titans.
Yep.
There we go. All right, my first Fave 5 of the evening. We're gonna go with my slam dunk of the evening. Let's start with that. I will give you a one. Devonta Smith / AJ Brown versus Pittsburgh. I threw in the slash just because. I mean, everybody's starting AJ Brown, but let me continue. The battle for Pennsylvania, I guess is what they call it. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there because they're playing the Eagles this week. Or should I say the Eagles are playing the Steelers this week. The Eagles are 10.5-point favorites with an over-under of 43.5, giving the Eagles an approximate estimation of 31 points by Vegas's predictions. The Steelers secondary remains quite banged up with questionable tags across the board except for Levi Wallace, PFF's 97th ranked corner in coverage. The Steelers are allowing the most yards, the 5th most touchdowns, and the 2nd most fantasy points per game to the wide receiver position. This is a simple case of an elite wide receiver duo, which the Steelers have struggled with 4 weeks in a row, going up against a banged up, not very good defense. I like AJ as a top 5 guy this week and Devonta as a high-end wide receiver too. That's it.
Okay. My next guy up is one. This is kind of the low-hanging fruit here, Chris. It's going to make you real happy, so just keep your pants on here. Tony Pollard versus the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
Did you even cover this in the news about Zeke?
I did.
Man, I really need to listen to the news better.
You don't listen to the news segment at all.
I do.
refresh everybody's memory. He has not practiced Wednesday or Thursday at all.
He has a torn MCL and is likely to be out this week.
Zeke?
And by a torn MCL, that means he sprained his knee.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, it sounds a lot worse. And I was like, man, that sounds really bad. He's only going to miss a week. It's a sprain. It's a sprained knee. Anyways,
oh man,
so like I said,
season is on, buddy. Let's go.
So far this season, albeit in limited work, Pollard is averaging 5.6 yards per attempt and about 9.5 yards per reception. With no Zeke this week, that automatically means fire up Pollard, especially in a plus matchup, considering the Bears are giving up the 6th most points per game to running backs. So Tony Pollard, I'm not going to really say much more, man. The Bears are not very good against the run, and Tony Pollard, he looks electric every time he's not every time, but the majority of the time that he touches the ball, it looks like he's on fire, like he's shot out of a cannon. Just some real good yards after contact, yards after catch. I mean, I get why I get why they don't use him every single time, because Tony Pollard's find the right situation and utilize him then, not just run him every down sort of thing. And like we were talking about before we started the show, that it's kind of more like keep them both as fresh as possible for
absolutely
right
absolutely.
for a hopeful playoff
real
run,
life football talk. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely real life football talk. Hey, there's asking for a friend in the audience there. If you'd like to address that, what would you trade for Pollard in Dynasty?
Nope.
No, it's a good salient talking point. What would you trade for Pollard?
Yep, we'll talk about that afterwards.
I'll poo on you. I'm going to throw out a second round there. I'm just going to jump on that wagon. All right.
Deal done.
Next up.
I'll trade you a second round pick right now on the show.
For Pollard?
Yeah.
I'll think about it. Next up, we've got...
put your money where your mouth is. You just said it.
I was answering the question I had presented to ourselves in that, what would you give? I would probably give a second if I was the tradee and not the trader. Anyway, we've got DJ Moore versus the Atlanta Falcons here. DJ Moore showed signs of life last week with a new quarterback and, of course, a new head coach, I think a week or so before that. He posted, caught 7 of his 10 targets for a very nice 69 yards and 1 tutty. At 92% rostered, folks have been holding on to him clearly, and this is a week I am positive he is needed in many fantasy managers' lineups. And to make it easy for us, he gets the Falcons this week, the single best matchup a wide receiver can have. They're giving up the most passing yards in the league, the 3rd most passing touchdowns in the league, and the most fantasy points to wide receivers. Get DJ Moore in your lineups this week. I see him as a high-end wide receiver 2 versus a division rival Falcons. Oh, and by the way, he gets Atlanta a week after this. So he plays Atlanta now, and then I think he has an awful matchup versus I want to say Dallas maybe, and then he gets Atlanta again. So if some angry DJ Moore manager dropped him, and you need a couple spot starts, do it.
He's available in a couple of leagues, actually.
That's interesting that you mentioned that, because 92% is high, of course, but that's
really
not in ours, because I have him in.
Yeah, you can't quit DJ Moore, dude. You have a DJ Moore problem.
I couldn't drop him, dude. There was nothing to drop him for. Or at the very least, I didn't have.
You have a real DJ Moore problem.
Or, I think you've kind of crazy, dude. I haven't started him in freaking weeks, including last week.
I just like the idea that you have a DJ Moore problem.
I do not.
I just like the idea that you're addicted to DJ Moore. Anyways, let's go to the next guy here, Raheem Mostert. We just really need someone named Ketchup. Anyways, in a world where Chase Edmonds was once thought to be the Dolphins' lead back, it turns out to be Raheem Mostert. What were we all thinking? Oh, yeah. Follow the money. It leads to Chase Edmonds. He's going to be the guy. Well, Raheem Mostert has twice the amount of touches that Chase Edmonds does. And on top of all that, the Lions are giving up the second most points per game to running backs. Mostert has 18 fantasy points, 2 out of the last 3 weeks. And that was against Pittsburgh, who gives up the 11th most, and the Jets, who give up the 21st most. So he's done it against a good defense as well as a not so good. Miami could get up quick and just run Mostert. He's out snapping every other Dolphins back by a significant margin. So I don't see them pulling Mostert, even if they are ahead. So if you've got Raheem Mostert, go ahead and play him. He's available in some leagues too. I know I picked him up off the waiver wire in 1 or 2 leagues, actually. Like this was a couple weeks ago, not this week. But yeah, I was just like, why is Raheem Mostert out here? Yeah, I mean, he's not scoring tons. And one thing we didn't mention, Chris, is that the Chiefs and the Chargers are on bye. So not a lot of running backs there other than Austin Eckler to be had.
That's the only two teams?
Only 2.
Yeah.
They're a big 2 as well.
I know did we already pass the bipocalypse or is it coming up? But I really like what they did with the bye weeks this year. It seems more spread out. I think there's like a 6-team week, maybe. Am I crazy?
I wish they'd just do it in 2 weeks. Boom. Done and over with.
That would be awful for fantasy. You literally probably couldn't field a lineup.
Well,
I mean, real life football, that makes sense. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to continue. Now that I glance at it a little in a different lens, I do have some.
You do have a DJ Moore problem. Yes, we know.
No. I do have some pretty I do have some pretty low-hanging fruits here, kind of based on name value at least. So I'm going to continue on with a couple more.
Oh, I got a couple. I got one more for 2 more actually. Go ahead.
Let's go. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Apparently, Amon-Ra didn't actually have a concussion last week, but had to leave the game and not return due to the new concussion protocol. What
did he miss his mommy or something? What's going on with that?
No, due to the new concussion protocol. Much to the chagrin of fantasy managers such as myself. But let's hope the man is healthy. That's all we really happy and healthy, or at least he should be. I think he still carries the questionable tag as I wrote these news notes earlier. So keep an eye on it, but I think he'll be fine. He gets the Dolphins secondary this week, the PFF's 5th worst ranked unit that is giving up the 8th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers, along with the 6th most passing yards, and tied for 9th for the most passing touchdowns given up. His other receiver mates are banged up as well. DJ Chark, Jameson Williams, and Quintez Cephas are all on IR or PUP, and Josh Reynolds was limited with a knee injury on Thursday. That's today. So he will get all the targets he can handle, which I feel like was a quote they threw out like a week or 2 ago. I think it was the Dallas game. They're like, all the targets he can handle. And yeah, it didn't work out. But it should work out this week, folks. I like the Sun God as a low-end wide receiver 1 versus the Finns this week.
Okay. I would like to say that if you have a roster spot to burn for right now, that I think that everyone should go out and pick up Jameson Williams. That's the name,
There's been rumors about him. Dan Campbell said he's going to play this year. So,
I mean, they were talking about him coming back somewhere in November, and and they were talking like before Thanksgiving too. This was like back in July and August, more like August. So. It's just something to think about, considering that the entire Lions wide receiving core has been really, really banged up this year.
Absolutely. They need him
back. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown has missed a couple of games here and there. So, it's the entire core. So, I mean, there's a distinct possibility that when Jameson Williams comes back, he's the wide receiver 1 because everyone else is injured.
Yeah. Well, I think Amon-Ra is healthy despite the...
For now, yeah.
Non-concussion. Having said that, I think in most 10-team standard kind of not PPR. I'm just saying 10 teams, 5-person bench leagues. You probably got better options. You don't need to go out and get him early now. Right. But in a lot of 12 teams and of course deeper leagues, yeah, absolutely, man. I think he needs to be considered strongly for a kind of a preemptive waiver pickup, if you will.
Okay. My next guy is Jonathan Taylor.
Didn't you just go?
No, you did.
Oh, we finished up on Lions. My bad. Continue, please, sir.
My next guy is Jonathan Taylor. The Colts get a new quarterback, and that's Sam Ellinger this week. It's his sophomore season out of Texas.
Weird.
Ellinger is, you did not cover this in the news for some reason, and I have no idea why
That's
not.
a good point. I forgot. What is with my news?
Ellinger is known for not having a big arm, but he's got some wheels on him. Literally has wheels instead of feet. So he's just driving her out there. And you know how he runs? He just goes
vroom vroom.
And then his wheels go, and they push him forward. Anyways, and then to run back, and then to run backwards, he goes beep beep, and then he backs up. Anyways, I think this is the week that the Colts try to get JT back on track. He hasn't topped 13 fantasy points since week 1.
Oh,
because of
shit, I didn't realize.
Yeah, because of this, JT is the RB 32 so far this season. Remember, he did miss a couple of games.
Well,
he did miss 2 games. But even if he would have continued his 11.5 points per game, that would make him about the RB 17. So even then, for a guy you were taking at 101, that's not great. But you know what is great? The Washington football team is giving up the 9th most points per game to running backs. With a new quarterback helm, I can see the Colts running the ball more. The Commanders, I'm starting to get used to it. Not really. Aren't giving up a ton of receiving work to running backs this year. That's because their secondary isn't very good at all. But the Commanders have given up 8 total touchdowns to the opposing backs. That gives JT a good chance to score. And with a touchdown mixed in with some heavy usage, I think that gives JT a good recipe to be a nice high-end RB2, low-end RB1 this week.
Good call. I'm going to go with my next, which is actually probably my lowest hanging fruit, unless you consider my slash A.J. Brown from earlier. I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel. That was the wrong button.
If he plays.
Yeah, I think I touch on that here in a second, or at least I did a little bit in the news segment. This isn't necessarily a premium matchup, but it is for Deebo. Let me explain. The Rams are 11th in points per game surrendered, 11th in fantasy points per game surrendered to the wide receiver position, but give up a league best. Yeah, exactly. A league best depth of target of 5.9, meaning they're holding receivers to a low depth of target. But that's Deebo's specialty, taking passes closer to the line of scrimmage and turning upfield, making plays and yakking it up. He currently sports the 4th lowest average depth of target at 4.3. Furthermore, he historically balls out versus the Rams. He averages 5 receptions, 95 combo yards, and has scored in 7 of 8 games he's played against the Rams, including Week 4 this year, where he caught 6 of his 7 targets for 115 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. I like Deebo as a top 12 guy this week versus the division rival Rams if Deebo plays. Which, may I remind you, I believe it's a knee injury, if memory serves.
I thought it was ankle, but I don't remember.
I can vet that real quick at the top of the list.
Hamstring.
Hamstring. We were both wrong. Hamstring.
That's close enough to a knee. My next guy is Devin Singletary versus the Green Bay Packers. Chris, I don't really like to take a stroll down narrative lane too much. I like to look at numbers, kind of judge what my eyes see and, on the screen in front of me. But listen to this. The Packers are not very good.
Nope.
The Bills' defense is good. The Bills could easily get up early and big in this game. Get up early and big. How about get up big and early in this game? And could use Singletary, and I could see Devin Singletary getting a nice workload. But here, you want something factual to go with my nice little story? Packers are giving up the 7th most points per game to running backs and the 2nd most yards on the ground. Singletary isn't really used that much in the passing game, so we don't really need to worry about that. We need to worry about his groundwork. And like I said, Packers 2nd most yards on the ground to running backs.
Love it.
I like Singletary as a solid flex option this week, if not a low-end RB2. So Devin Singletary.
I'm starting in Dynasty where I lost Hall and Zeke a week or 2 ago to trade. So
last week.
Thank you. All right, what do I have next? Am I finishing up? No. Yeah, aren't I? Yeah, because I went first. All right.
I did. Actually, I did.
Oh. Wandale Robinson of the New York Giants versus the Seattle Seahawks. Kadarius
Actually,
Toney has been traded to the Chiefs. Oh, go ahead, Josh. What's that?
I thought you were going to say Darius Slayton. Okay.
Nope. Wandale Robinson, again, as mentioned in the top of the show, Kadarius Toney has been traded to the Chiefs, as mentioned earlier. But he wasn't playing for him, so take it with context. The Giants also lost Daniel Bellinger, the tight end, who apparently almost lost an eye. I have no.
I was going to make him one of my tight end guys this week, and then I found he had a fractured orbital socket.
And I feel like there's a little bit of stuff bounced around about like a dirty play. I have not seen it. I'm not accusing anybody, but man, if it was like a eye poke out type of thing, oof, like he's out indefinitely. But the reason Josh considered mentioning, and the reason I'm mentioning Daniel Bellinger, he's been coming on a little bit as of late with a 72% snap share and 4 targets per game. Not super impressive, but this is tight ends, folks. 72%
a rookie tight end too.
Exactly. 72% snap share, 4 targets per game in the 4 weeks prior to last week's injury. So not including last week. And a touchdown in week 6. My point is, while Seattle has been pretty damn good versus fantasy wide receivers, they are sixth best, only giving up 23.3 fantasy points per game to the wide receiver position. So good against the wide receiver position. However, they're a little vulnerable underneath to slot receivers, tight ends, and running backs out of the backfield.
A little?
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. It's okay. Weeks. Let me go in reverse order. Week 5, Alvin Kamara, a receiving back, 6 catches for 91. Week 6, Gerald Everett, a tight end for the Chargers, of course, caught 5 catches for 63, and of course Eckler caught 12 catches for 96 yards and 1 touchdown. Ertz last week, week 7, for the Cardinals, caught 7 catches for 70 yards. At the end of the day, this is basically a volume play, folks. The Giants have had to put scrubs out there at wide receiver and don't throw a ton. Robinson will help them generate offense, and I think the trade of Toney shows that they have confidence in Wandale Robinson. I like him as a great flex fill-in this week.
Okay. My secret 6 guy, Chris, is Aaron Jones versus the Buffalo Bills. The Bills have a run D that is great. Least points per game to running backs. But here's the thing. Aaron Jones is going to have to be involved in this game
through the air
if the Packers want. Yeah, exactly. If the Packers want to try and keep up with the Bills, especially without Allen Lazard, they're gonna have to get Aaron Jones involved. They need to just leave AJ Dillon in to give Aaron Jones rest. I'm done with AJ Dillon. I think the Packers.
I'm not starting him this week.
No, I don't think anyone should start AJ Dillon. And I think that if you like it, I don't care what you spent on Aaron Jones as far as draft capital, or if you traded for him early on in the season, which you shouldn't have, but if you did, okay, like it's going to be a rough matchup for the Packers in general, I feel like. But like I said, I think Aaron Jones is going to have to get involved if the Packers want to try and win this game. They're you already said no Allen Lazard. That means it's going to have to be a combination of Romeo Dobbs and I don't think
speaking of not starting,
I don't think Randall Cobb's playing either. Like this is a banged up
Sammy Watkins,
the ghost of Sammy Watkins too, Christian Watson. It's Aaron Jones. That's my secret 6th guy this week. Probably should have made him my sleeper, but I didn't.
Well, I would have been upset if you made Aaron Jones a sleeper. Let's be honest.
But that's prime sleeper potential though, because it's a real bad matchup for him, he has struggled. The Packers have struggled. I think that's
up
prime
until
sleeper.
Last week. Aaron Jones was really good last week, I believe.
That's great, but it's still a really, really bad matchup, and that could make him your sleeper.
I like it.
Anyways, he's not my sleeper though. So go ahead with your first tight end.
Super stream segment. We've got Greg Dulcich. Dulcich. I did it right. I spelled it wrong on this first line. Greg Dulcich versus the Jaguars. 2 C's and an H, to be clear. I give the Broncos.
And an I and a dull.
I give you the new Broncos #1 tight end. Dulcich has led all tight ends in snap percentage. Not all tight ends. Bronco tight ends. Let me be clear. That sounded bad. Has led all Bronco tight ends in snap percent his first 2 weeks of active action in the NFL. Because he's a rookie. 65% has been his average snap share over the last 2 weeks. Albert O is not a thing in 2022, and he won't be. Dulcich tied for the team lead in targets last week with Sutton and caught a long touchdown the week before that. Granted, it was a busted play, but with Russ, Judy, Sutton, and Javonte all struggling or injured, I think Denver is looking to generate offense in any way they can, and the rookie tight end has shown us something. At 46% rostered, pick him up and get him in your lineup if you're hurting at tight end this week. Greg Dulcich versus the Jags.
My first guy is Juwan Johnson versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Chris, I feel like I'm cheating here, but my two tight end streamers this week are going up against the third and second most points per game to tight ends. Let's start with the first one, though. Juwan Johnson. That's right. Not Adam Troutman. Nope, it is Johnson. Johnson already has more receptions, yards than he did in all of 2021 and in half the amount of games. He's coming off of a 2-touchdown week. Yes, I know Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry didn't play last week, but as I stated earlier, the Raiders are giving up the third most points per game to tight ends. Juwan Johnson is a dart throw, much like my next guy, but half of every league out there is already throwing tight end darts. So Absolutely. Why not throw a dart at a guy who's going up against the Raiders, who have allowed 6 touchdowns to opposing tight ends? That's tied for the most in the NFL. Chris, who's your next tight end?
Dalton Schultz versus the Chicago Bears.
No, wait a minute now. That's not a tight end streamer.
Yeah, that's fair.
No,
I'm gonna go with it anyway. Schultz has been flat out banged up, no doubt. As a consequence, he hasn't done much this season. But I wanted to give you all a guy you could play this week in a bind, and a lot of teams have been holding on to him. To Josh's point, like ZC in the Friends with Benefits League, he is 82% roster. Schultz, that is, not ZC. I'm pretty sure he's not in any NFL roster.
I haven't rostered.
Good for you, buddy.
Thanks.
While the Bears are actually good versus tight ends, I think Schultz is a fine volume play, and that's tough to come by at tight end position. In the 2 games Schultz has played with Cooper Rush, he caught 0 of his 4 targets. And in the 2 games he's played with Dak, he's caught 12 of his 15 targets for 109 yards. He hasn't scored all year, and that could turn around this week. Keep an eye on his injury. If you're desperate in a deep league, take a look at Jake Ferguson or Peyton Pendershot as a pivot if Schultz doesn't play. Again, desperate. Very desperate. But Schultz is the tout this week as far as my second and last tight end streamer of the evening.
Mine is Irv Smith Jr. versus the Arizona Cardinals. Irv Smith is averaging 6.8 points per game, but he does have 2 touchdowns on the season. As I mentioned earlier, the Raiders are tied for giving up the most tight end touchdowns. You know who the other team is that's giving up 6 tight end touchdowns?
Seattle.
It is the Cardinals who Irv Smith is playing. I more or less laid it. I laid the road out for you.
You did say
just
that
decided
earlier.
to go off roading, and
you said second and third. I thought Seattle was the worst, though.
Anyways, so yeah, Irv Smith.
Anyway. Yeah, I'm playing him. I'm starting him in a league that I have also Gerald Everett, who's on bye. Yep, Irv Smith. And he did well last week or week before last? Yeah, it was last week. 10 fantasy points, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Must have caught a touchdown, probably. All right, on to my quarterback streamer of the week. Definitely not hanging fruit, but I feel like it's kind of out there for everybody to see. I recommend streaming Danny Dimes, week 6. Oh,
I almost did that, and I'm gonna have to contradict you here, Chris. He is QB9 on the season so far, so I chose not to go with him.
But when I chose to make him a streamer week 6, it was underwhelming but serviceable. I mean, gosh, I'm a little surprised that he's QB 8.
9.
Hey, QB 9, excuse me. More of a reason, folks. He scored 14.52 when I chose him as my streamer in week 6. But he went off last week versus the Jags, which is why he's at QB 9 now. He threw for 202 yards and 1 touchdown, but we all know that's not why we stream Danny. It's his legs. Those legs. He ran 11 times for 107 yards and 1 touchdown. And Seattle is still a pretty bad defense, giving up the 10th most fantasy points per game to the quarterback position and the 7th most passing yards in the league. I like Danny Dimes to get a touchdown, hopefully through the air, and hopefully 1 on the ground, and have great rushing stats. And that's what you want when you're streaming quarterbacks. So Danny Dimes, my QB streamer of the week.
According to Sleeper, he's 63% rostered, so you might have a rough time streaming him, but he might be available. Anyways, my guy is Kirk Cousins. You might think that you might use my contradiction or use my same argument to contradict me, but he is the QB 14 so far on this season, so I wanted to go somewhere outside the top 12.
Probably a little bit more available.
And Cousins is only averaging 17.15 points per game. He hasn't been that great. It's respectable, not good. He has not been the Kirk Cousins of yesteryear. Weirdly enough, when the Vikings switched to a more of a pass-centric offense, Cousins is not as efficient as a run-first offense. It doesn't make any sense. But anyways, they're going up against Cardinals this week, who are giving up 19.5 points per game to quarterbacks. Cousins' two worst games this year were against the Eagles, who are the second best against fantasy quarterbacks, and the Saints, who are the 12th worst. But his best games were up against the Bears, the Lions, and the Packers, all of which are not very good defenses. Yes, I know the Bears looked very competent on Monday night, but that was against the Patriots quarterback carousel that they have going on there. So, yeah, I'm going to say that Cousins has a legit shot of being a QB1 this week. I said season in my notes. I meant this week. I think there's a real good shot that he can be a QB1. Chris, my my sleeper pick of the week is Sam Ehlinger. Sam Ehlinger is my sleeper pick this week. I know I just skipped you, but I got real excited to say it.
Fire away. Or we can ask a question in chat real quick before you fire away. We've got, why is that not popping up, folks? Apparently the pop-up broke. It's fine. Panda XV, I have Geno Mix. Oh my God. I have Geno Mixon, KW3. Not even sure who that is. AJ Brown, I assume. Pittman, Amari Schultz, Dalvin Cook, McPherson.
Kenneth Walker,
I'm 2-5 in a 10-man league. Should I expect a comeback? No. Not a 2-5. I'm just gonna level with you, Panda. Maybe next time. My pop-up not working. Continue, Josh.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. By all means, set your lineup. Continue to try. Can you play trades, waivers, etc.? But
needs an upgrade at tight end. Tight end is what's hurting him. Some down weeks from
Colts,
and an upgrade at wide.
Absolutely.
Amari Cooper has just not been very good
lately, and neither is Geno for the past 2 weeks. Off the top of my head,
Amari Cooper's had like 2 good games, and that's it this season.
Yeah, it was early in the year, within the first 3 weeks, I believe.
It's a possibility, but I mean, Amari at this point is waiting for, Hansy McCopsfield to come back. I can't remember his name anymore, nor do I really care.
Love it. You want to go on with Ehlinger?
Yes. It's going to be a rough road, Panda. That's all I got to say.
For sure.
Ehlinger, as I mentioned earlier, this is mainly based on Ehlinger's rushing capabilities. The Commanders are giving up 18.6 points per game so far this year. They have allowed quarterbacks to throw for 14 touchdowns. That's second most. So that's at an average about 2 per week. And they've given about 120 rushing yards so far to quarterbacks, which is smack dab in the middle of the pack. At this point, Ehlinger is kind of Matt Ryan, but with upside. Maybe not arm strength, but the rushing capabilities of Ehlinger, or the supposed rushing capabilities at least, can really help Ehlinger buoy some fantasy points. I think that, he was
a good runner.
We're supposed to give a sleeper, so I came up with quarterback.
That was your sleeper. Let's stick with quarterbacks. My sleeper is also a quarterback. Now let me preface this by saying this is not a sleeper to start this week. I'm using this sleeper as a preemptive waiver wire ad. Let me continue. Justin Fields. More rushing quarterbacks for you, but not this week, as I said. This week, Justin Fields gets the vaunted Dallas defense. That one's for you, Josh. Dallas boasts the PFF's top-ranked pass rush, and they did limit Jalen Hurts a week ago. Just kind of a similar comparison in terms of a guy who likes to run around at the quarterback position. But he has been a QB1 the past 2 weeks and was a borderline QB1 week 5. He was like 13th, I think, or 14th maybe. He has run for an average of 85 yards the last 2 weeks. I think he scored once. He should already be rostered in Superflex leagues. In standard leagues, one quarterback leagues, he's currently 41% rostered. So he's out there. If you're streaming, if you're needing to stream or a bye week fill in or injury fill in the next couple of weeks, a replacement in the coming weeks, his schedule is amazing. After Dallas this week, which again, stay away, he gets Miami, Detroit, and Atlanta. Justin Fields, my quarterback sleeper for a preemptive pickup, but don't start him this week versus Dallas. That would be dumb.
So you don't have a sleeper for this week?
Sure, I'll go Danny Dimes. I'll make him my stream and my sleeper. No, Fields is my sleeper.
But not for this week.
Nope. That's why he's not a stream. Stream is what folks need. They have to have a streamer. Sleeper can be a preemptive pickup. At least that's the way I'm looking at it.
I don't think that's how that works, but okay. I'll roll with it. We'll agree to disagree. How about that?
Whatever.
All right then. All right then. Should we maybe end the show here and
I don't see any other questions from
cool.
chat. You got any asking for a friend?
Yep, let's end the show first.
Close this out. I'll go BRB so I can make a drink, and then we'll continue the
alcoholic
questions and asking for a friend. Anyway.
All right. Well, we have been Amazing Fantasy Football. I am Josh. Over there is Chris. You can follow me on Twitter at JoshAFFB. You can follow Chris at
AFFB Chris.
That is at AFFB Chris.
Yep.
Just
not
to be
Chris at not Chris AFFB Chris for AFFB Chris. At AFFB
just be crystal clear. Yes.
Yes. And please, I'll DM me. I don't care. We
have been Amazing Fantasy Football. You can check out the live stream Thursday nights at 8 p.m. If you missed it, we also have a Sunday morning stream with last-minute injury news, lineup questions, just general football and chat and everything, and you can kind of tune into that as well. It's a little bit more loose and whatever, not so regimented and whatnot. Chris is quite the taskmaster when it comes to this Thursday night show. It's really me. Anyways, everyone have a good week 8 and wish you best of luck. Stick around for some just kind of general chatting in the stream.
Fantasy questions to answer, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
Are back. There was a question in the chat, Chris, from Spear IT. He says, Aaron Jones for Cordero Patterson. It's straight up. It's apparently a full PPR, and I kind of want to say yeah. He says the only thing holding him up is Aaron Jones' upside, which is true. Aaron Jones has a much higher upside than Patterson, but man, I don't know if the Packers can turn it around. Like this is like just watching them, which I live in the Midwest, so watching a fair amount of the Packers.
He was a FA5 of yours this week, though, right? Jones was, right?
No, he was my secret 6.
Still, you're going to start him. You're telling people to start him this week, and he had a really nice week last week. So if he has 2 good weeks in a row, if he has 2 good weeks in a row,
you could go higher than Patterson, yes, but I'm assuming this is also
that's probably a more salient point. Then at that point, maybe sell high on Jones, and I think I could get more than Cordero Patterson. So to answer your question, Spear, I say no. I wouldn't do it if it was on my roster.
I think I would, but yeah, because let's be realistic. I don't think Aaron Jones is going to have a good week this week, but I think it's, like I said, if you can wait for Patterson to come back, then yeah, I'd do it. Like if you have other options ahead of Aaron Jones,
he's not back yet. Yeah.
Nope.
Algier is still getting 15 carries a game. Basically, he's not doing a hell of a lot with it, but.
Neither is the other guy.
Huntley,
Caleb Huntley.
Fair. Yep. It's a bad team. I just while we're on Atlanta real quick, I couldn't imagine being a fan right now because what was it last week? They were down like 20, like 2 or 3 scores, like 21-0 in like the second, and he just refused to throw the ball. Mariota ended up with like 14 attempts. It was just insulting. Like this guy needs to be fired now, or they're tanking in front of everybody's eyes, and maybe the NFL should, I don't know, say something about it.
You mean like the Colts?
Because Ellinger. I think I said that in one of our.
Dude, I don't know what Ellinger did, but like Ellinger started out as QB third guy on the depth chart. Jumped Nick Foles, but that's not hard to do. But then, like all of a sudden now he's the starting quarterback. I'm like, I get the Colts want to, like, I know they want to like see what they actually have in Ellinger before they make a decision for next year. But if Ellinger has any sort of promise, like it's just like the only thing he's going to do is just hurt the Colts. The Colts need to go out and get a first round talent. Yeah, they need to go out and get a first round talent.
He has performed well in preseason, and he has run well throughout his career at University of Texas. So bad offensive line, injured and bad offensive line. Maybe they're just like, we're going to get Matt Ryan killed. Judging from last game, if we don't do something about it.
Matt Ryan's also injured this week too. Fair. So there's that.
But they said indefinitely, or they said Ellinger is the guy till the end of the season. For the rest of the season. That was
very odd. Like you'd think they'd be like, hey, Matt Ryan's injured and he's gonna probably miss a couple of weeks.
I think they threw that.
Yeah, and Matt Ryan's just like cut to Matt Ryan and be like, what did I do?
Maybe they're trying to salvage a mid to late round pick for Matt Ryan for a QB needy team this year. Who would go get Matt Ryan though? To be fair,
no one.
To criticize my own take, but that's tough, man. I guess
the only person that's going after Matt Ryan is if Daniel Jones gets injured for like the Giants, or Cousins gets injured for the Vikings or something. Okay. Like
that's kind of what I'm getting at, I guess. Maybe Matt Ryan would be cool with leaving the Colts and being a backup on a more competitive team where if the starter were to get hurt or is already hurt, he can step in and manage things.
What is the Saints record? Because they could certainly. I mean,
they're starting Dalton over a healthy Jameis, so
they're like the same player at this point, man. Yeah. I watched Andy Dalton. I'm like, is this Jameis Winston?
I think.
Oh no, it's Andy Dalton. And then Andy Dalton takes his helmet off. I'm like, whoa. There's a red beard right there.
I think Chris Olave and the Saints offensive line is making both Jameis and Dalton look. No, I think he's a hell of a player, man. I think he can get open at will almost. Like
A lot
man.
of, yeah.
I can't wait till this draft, this next draft, man. These quarterbacks. Oh, I'm very much interested in what happens at the quarterback position in the NFL draft in the 2023 offseason. Yeah, for numerous reasons.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that need a quarterback, and the carousel is going to rotate around again. Matt Ryan's going to probably go elsewhere. I doubt he retires. He might, but I really doubt it.
I started Gus.
You started Gus?
Yep. Hey, how about
did you? I really hope you. I really hope you had other options.
For a friend, Eno Benjamin or Gus Edwards.
Eno Benjamin.
Oh no, let me rephrase it. Eno Benjamin, AJ Dillon, or Gus Edwards.
Gus Edwards is last in that list.
Well, yeah, with hindsight.
No, because it's the Bucks' run defense.
They actually hadn't been very good against folks that had gotten volume recently. But 4 carries for Gus is not volume. I'm talking like 15, 16, 17, I think it was, the statistic I read. They've actually struggled against backs getting that amount of volume, like over 100 yards and
a
decent average of touchdowns.
I'll stick with my statement, but yeah.
Move on here.
I'm sorry. No, I would put Gus second on that because AJ Dillon versus the Bills. Okay. Sorry, I forgot the Packers.
So Dillon's third. You would have gone Eno over both of them. Okay.
Yeah. Even if James Conner plays, I would still go Eno over them.
Yeah. What else we got here? Bear with me for 1 second, unless you got one, sir.
Not really. No.
Got another one here. How about Gus Edwards or Cortland Sutton, or Eno? This is so sad. I have Algier on both of those teams too. This is sad. I don't have a title.
I don't know what your question is, sir.
I don't have one apparently. Okay, how about the quarterback question? Andy Dalton, Trevor Lawrence, or Justin Fields?
Andy Dalton.
Yep, that's why I picked him up.
I think they're saying Mark Andrews is done for the game.
Par for the course, sir. I'm going to end up making the playoffs in a dynasty league I was trying to tank in, and not make the playoffs in either of my redrafts that I was mediocre in. 3-4, 4-3.
Oh god, every redraft league I'm in, it's so bad. Like injuries and just
low offensive output across the league, dude. I swear, it's not pretty. I mean, yeah, you got your outliers, you got your Bills and your, I guess, Eagles. Although, against Dallas, there was a low point output.
But even the Eagles, there's it's kind of hit or miss of who's gonna actually score points on that team outside of their quarterback. Some weeks it's both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Some weeks it's Devontae Smith and not AJ Brown. Sometimes it's rarely been Dallas Goedert. He hasn't been that reliable this season. He was a little injured there for a second too.
Absolutely.
But it's just stupid things like that where it's just 1 week is this, the next week it's that. It's unpredictability is what it's been. It's been I don't remember the last time I played fantasy football and I just wanted to bang my head against the wall so hard because it's just you think you know what's going on and then all of a sudden the NFL is just nope, we're going to do something different.
Packers, Buccaneers. Even Ford, as good as Fournette has been in fantasy, he has not been good on the ground for the Bucs. He's been great through the air because they've had to come back.
He's doing okay so far, but yeah, that's I think a little bit of their offensive line, and I'm not really sure. This is the first Bucs game. I've had this game on the entire time we've been doing this show, and no, it's going okay. It's I mean, not for Mark Andrews and
3-10.
Yeah. Not for Mark Andrews. That sucks.
How about a little bit of... I'm looking at stats while I'm listening to you. I don't mean to cut you off, but how about a little bit of, I guess, kind of positive, good player news? Dameon Pierce has been great. But and I was trying to look up Tennessee, how they're doing against RBs, but he gets Tennessee, Philly, and Giants. I'm pretty sure Philly and Giants are pretty good against the running back. I'm almost positive both Philly and Giants are good against the running back, but he's been really good on a bad team, man. Dameon Pierce, how about Dynasty? I mean, what is he? Is he worth a first? Would you say mid to late?
Yeah, I mean, he was probably drafted like towards the end of the first, the beginning of the second.
First, I think, if memory calls, yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember what our league was, but yeah, it was somewhere in there. So yeah, like him easily being worth a first now is very viable. At least one.
You'd have to be out on him long term and probably like, tanking or rebuilding or what have you. I don't have him in. I'd love to, but no, I don't. I have him in redraft in one league. I don't know. There was one part of news I thought we should come back to. If I can get. Oh, it was the Chiefs and Kadarius. I think we already did that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well then I guess I'm get out of here a little early.
Let's do it. Let's get out. Let's get the hell out of here. I'm tired. Tomorrow's Friday.
It's been a long week, man. For me, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. It's real
Until
rough.
Next time, folks. Sunday morning.
Good luck, Joe.
Sunday morning, 10 a.m. right here. All the links are in the description. Join our Discord. Get that thing running up. Get that thing lively. We've already mentioned Twitter, but we'll mention it again. At Josh AFF. Nope. At AFFB Josh. At Chris AFFB. Did I really do it wrong?
You did it backwards.
At Josh AFFB. At AFFB Chris. And give us a lineup question. Give us, a flex question, a desperate start question, if you will. Whatever you got, we'll be happy to participate.
All right.
What you got, Josh?
Nah, man. Let's get out of here.
Later, everybody.
All right, later.